Last year, San Diego opened its biggest expansion of public transit in years. The Blue Line trolley extension is already proving popular for people headed to UC San Diego and University City. But that project was expensive and took a long time to build. A new report from Circulate San Diego argues the region could save time and money and help a lot more people by investing in rapid bus services. Colin Parent, executive director for Circulate San Diego, spoke to KPBS's Andrew Bowen about the recommendations from that report. Here's their conversation.
Colin, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So what are the components of a truly rapid bus service that you argue for in this report?
Yeah, so our report, Fast Bus, that just came out, we're arguing for a variety of things to make the bus go faster. And those things include some very mundane things like bus-only lanes or syncing the traffic signals to give buses priority. And there's also some other things like making it easier and faster for people to pay their fares when they're boarding the bus.
How does the cost of those improvements compare to, say, building a new light rail line like what we just saw on the Blue Line trolley?
Yeah, so they're dramatically less expensive. So we just spent $2 billion extending the Mid-Coast trolley, which is a great project. We're not saying we shouldn't have done it. But it's also true that the kinds of projects that we're looking for to convert existing buses into rapid buses are usually between $50 and $100 million. So just orders of magnitude less expensive, and oftentimes being able to serve a similar amount of people.
One of the things that you argue for in this report is all-door boarding. So rather than everyone waiting in line to get on the bus in the front door, people could use the back doors as well and maybe save some time as people get on and off the bus. But wouldn't that make it easier for someone to just hop on the bus without paying the fare?
Yeah, no, that's exactly one of the challenges for doing all-door boarding. But we have some pretty easy examples for how to address that. For example, the trolley system currently allows for all-door boarding. People will actually validate their fares before they get on the trolley, and then board at any of the many doors. And the way that we address that is we just have occasional enforcement. So you have people who come in and will ask people whether or not they have a current fare, and that's the way that we address that to make sure that the people who are on the system belong there.
Something you note in this report is that transit agencies like MTS or the North County Transit District can't make these changes entirely on their own. They need the cooperation from city governments. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so the transit agencies like MTS and NCTD, they operate the buses, like the actual vehicles. They pay for the drivers. They decide the routes that they serve on, but they don't actually decide how the streets look. They don't decide whether or not there's a bus-only lane or whether or not the traffic signals are prioritizing the bus. Those are things that the constituent jurisdictions within those transit agencies have decisions over. So if you want to do a bus-only lane on University Avenue in North Park, you have to get the city of San Diego to agree to and to allow for that kind of facility.
We just saw a big debate over bus-only lanes on Park Boulevard through Balboa Park. And there were a lot of folks that were concerned that if you take away a travel lane that's currently for anybody, a bus or a car, that will make traffic worse for the people who do drive. What do you say to those skeptics who just aren't convinced that bus-only lanes are worth the disruption to the status quo?
For some of the routes, there probably would be some disruptions to the status quo to the ordinary car drivers, but that's actually not true for a lot of corridors. So you have places like University Avenue or El Cajon Boulevard, which in some places are like 6-lane highways, and running through the middle of a community, and where actually traffic volume has gone down over recent decades. And then those are some areas where there are prime opportunities to create more bus-only facilities that are very unlikely to make any meaningful impact to the car drivers who are using it today.
SANDAG, our county's transportation planning agency, did include some rapid bus projects in their latest regional transportation plan, but your report says that they're not enough. What more can SANDAG do now?
Yeah, so one of the things that was great about that plan is that they did include a lot of early action around bus improvements, but there's not a lot of specificity about how good those improvements are going to be. There's no commitment to making bus-only lanes. There's no commitment to doing signal prioritization. And those are things where while there is funding and plans to make improvements to certain bus routes, there's no commitment about the quality of those improvements. And so those are some things where SANDAG can and should take their plans, take their commitments, and take them one step further to ensure that the improvements that they're going to do are really going to be meaningful and help the bus go actually faster.
So if investing in bus improvements is a faster and cheaper way to improve the experience of public transit riders, why haven't we done it already?
Hey man, that's a great question. I wish I wish I had an answer. No. I mean, part of it's because rail lines are kind of sexier, they're more exciting. They're also oftentimes a higher quality experience. There's me personally, I can get car sick on a bus, right? And so I prefer the trolley. Like that's a legitimate preference that a lot of people have. But it's also true that we're never going to be able to build a trolley line to replace every single bus line. There just isn't enough space, there isn't enough money, and if we want to be serious about improving transit for people today, for people who are relying on it today, we have to make some different choices about doing the kinds of things we can afford and implement with the amount of resources that we have and are able to access.
I've been speaking with Colin Parent, Executive Director of Circulate San Diego, and Colin, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks very much for having me.